everybody, and welcome to Reed's Read Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Check us out, the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. Well, I'm here, everybody, of course, to review Amazing Spider-Man 83, aka 884 legacy number here, completely written and drawn by Patrick Gleason here, as Peter Parker, now awakened from his coma. Can he really be Spider-Man again and embrace who he was when parts of him feel so shattered? Yes, on today's episode, we shall find out. So let's get to the pros. First of all, I have to say right off the bat, Gleason does a wonderful job with the story pace and artwork. Every piece is really great, from Peter waking up to the jokes with his physical therapist and how he's actually having problems, and how his spider sense after the attack from the UFOs, how everything's kind of detached from him and he just really can't embrace who he was. It calls back to a lot of times when Peter has actually had crisis of his powers and who he is as Spider-Man. While his responsibility works pretty well, I do like how they tie in the story of Peter telling the physical therapist about his time when he was really young having the flu and how it didn't really go well. And I love the flashbacks they do with the story leading up to Uncle Ben, of course, giving wonderful Uncle Ben advice on how to be a better person and to fight through the cold as well as problems like this. And I like that even the use of the, as he calls it, the stupid bank robbers actually works pretty well, where Peter's kind of not himself since his spider sense isn't working, and how it ties in with Captain America showing up, who's actually surprised at what happens when he kind of saves Spider-Man from the fights and everything else, how he realizes he's not himself. And it's really good because then as Peter falls unconscious, how he actually goes back to himself, telling him he's going to fight, work with it, and embraces his spider sense again and kind of wakes up injured. But that kind of leads to the cons here. There are a lot of holes kind of in this story itself. While there's some nice pieces of talking about the Beyond Corporation, what's going on with Janine, and basically saying despite everything she's been given to her, she's a prisoner, and so is Ben of the Beyond Corporation. Well, duh, we've kind of figured that out since the second issue of Spider-Man Beyond. So while it's a nice little reparee, and I actually do like the story sequences Gleason does, it's the big duh storyline about actually everything happens, as well as Peter not thinking straight, even though he's still kind of recovering, that the web shooters are not working exactly the thing because it's not tied to his voice as well as his ability for the web shooter. So it kind of makes Peter think, even though we have to understand he's kind of a little out of it and everything, that, you know, he should have thought about that much better. Also, we, of course, are going to have to assume that, of course, Captain America walked him back to his hospital bed with these new injuries, and nobody's going to think for a second, like, why has Peter got new injuries and bruises and cuts on himself if he was supposed to be here in the hospital? It's kind of a little bit of, you know, it's comic book logic, everybody, so you should understand it, right? So otherwise, it's kind of a nice little piece, as well as setting up everything to get ready for the Dr. Octopus storyline coming up and what's going to happen with Ben. It's actually a pretty good issue. I liked it. I'll give it actually a solid B. It really works in a lot of the story beats with who Peter is as a character, as well as his nods to his relationship, like with Mary Jane, as well as Black Cat, and actually his growing up with Uncle Ben and Aunt May. So it's a really nice story. I definitely like him doing the whole I'm going to fight and I'm going to do it. He re-embraces who he is with his spider sense and everything. But at the same time, it has a lot of holes, as well as a couple of duh moments, like I said, in the storyline. But it's not too bad. And with that, guys, this is actually my last review for 2021. That's right. Next time I do my next review next week after school semester and everything starts, it'll be 2022. New storyline, new marts, and of course the lead to the last couple of months of Spider-Man Beyond. And I'll be right here for the whole journey. You know I can do, because after all, my one word for 2022 is return, and I'll return right back here in another week to review more Spider-Man comics. And on that note, everybody, check us out, the Spider-Man Crawl Space, for all your information, especially reviews on the current Spider-Man No Way Home. I have actually finally seen the movie, but I won't spoil anything else. Definitely check out our reviews there, as well as the podcast on that review. And check us out for discussions on our Discord channel. Everybody have a wonderful new year. I will see everybody in 2022, and I'll check everything else later on the Crawl Space.